Well, that actually leads me into my next question. We remember the counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO, where the FBI created a covert operation to destabilize black power movements in their infancy. It states clearly that they were searching for the rise of the so-called Black Messiah. They named Malcolm, Elijah, Martin as potential targets and potential threats. Now, with your album, The Martyr, and Revolutionary 1 and Revolutionary 2, you know, you're very outspoken against powerful forces and injustices against the people. I think I'm quoting Malcolm when he once said that the price for freedom is death and that the bloodshed is the cost of revolution. So my question simply is, do you ever fear that your stance and your approach to hip hop could be or will be the cause for your death?
You know, maybe when I first got into this game, I used to think about stuff like that. And now I just think to myself, whenever it happens, you know? When they line me up against that wall, I'm gonna tell them that blindfolds are for cowards and for sexual deviants. I'm going out like a man standing up. But the bottom line is truthfully that if we get to that particular point in time where they're killing people for saying what's on their mind, for speaking truth to power, for pointing out the historical inconsistency and the political hypocrisy and what goes on, then I'm not the only one that's gonna be against that wall. You're gonna be against that wall. Plenty of you that are watching this program now, it don't matter if you black, white, brown, yellow, green, blue, you're against that wall too. Because the ironic thing is now, they're not looking for the Black Messiah. They're just looking for anybody that has something negative to say about the way that they make money. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or anything, or Christian, Muslim, Jewish. If you get in the way of their agenda, and when I say their agenda is focused around consolidating power. The world power, the global elite wants to consolidate power, consolidate wealth to the point that we all become dependent on them. They try to make anything that would make us independent seem ludicrous and irrational, and everything that makes us dependent and slave-like and drug addict behavior having, they encourage that. They want us to, you know, I remind people, your food really don't taste that good right now if you're eating while you're watching this. It's just the chemicals that they mix in with that dirty old meat. It's just the stuff that they spray your food with. That's what makes it taste that way, not what it actually is. You know what I mean? Just remember that. So I remind people, it's not solely based on one insane premise of a glorious revolution towards one unstoppable evil that needs to be confronted. That's a struggle that takes place daily in people's lives when they choose what they're gonna provide for their family, you know? And I think that in terms of being afraid of challenging that, you know, I think the most basic thing I could come up with to really set my head straight on that was, if I don't do this, who will? You know, if there's a bunch of other people that have the same talent level and they're willing to step up to the plate, well, then now is the time. You know, don't wait for someone else to be gone.
Right.
Learn from them and learn from my success and my failures as well, because I've had plenty of those. I don't hide those. I learn from those. I grow from those.
LL Cool J recently popped up in the news doing a record with a country singer, and he made correlation between, if you forgive my gold chains, I'll forgive your iron chains. And when I hear that, I just got to shake my head. I mean, is it possible to take gold chains, which is something that hip hop artists use as a fashion statement, to go with Levi jeans and shell-toe Adidas with no shoelaces in them,
right,
and compare that to iron chains, which are responsible for the rape, murder, and enslavement of a people?
Right.
They took away our name, our culture, our God, and then you're gonna have somebody who is from the golden era of hip hop, and one of the founding, you know, I wouldn't say founding father, but you know, he was there in the beginning.
He's a pioneer.
He's a pioneer. To come out and say that, I'm gonna forgive you for iron chains, man, that just, that doesn't sit well with me, and I just really wanted to know your opinion of that.
First and foremost, let me say that I have a lot of respect for LL. I think he's a
As
legend.
do I.
I think he's a legend, and there's nothing that can take away from what he did in the past. However, I think that he's severely misguided in this particular example of wordplay and the idea, the conceptuality of where he was trying to take the record. Obviously, this is someone else's record. He might have been contracted just to say something like that, which would really disappoint me, because that means that somebody paid you to do this, you know? And like I said before, they'll have us as a people so scared that we won't fly the Black Panther flag. You won't do that, even though we didn't go out and massacre tons of white people. All we wanted was a free breakfast program. But they got black people from the left wing and the right wing scared to wave that flag. Right. But they love waving the Confederate flag. That's the part that confuses me. America loves winners. Why y'all rocking that? Y'all lost. Your vision of two Americas was crushed.
Hip hop brings people that are black, that are white, that are Asian, that are poor, that are rich together, that are Muslim, Christian, Jewish. We bring them all together and we start realizing we have more things in common than we do that are different.
And if we're talking about a premise for forgiveness, you know, how can you forgive someone that never said I'm sorry? How can you sit there and take abuse or neglect or anything from a society without them acknowledging what you've actually put into America? You know, our blood is the mortar for the bricks that hold this entire country together. For me, it would have been a much more fitting line if he said, you know, if you give me my 40 acres and a mule, I'll forget about the iron chain. Right. Because you still owe us from way back in the day. Only now, what are we talking? A monetary compensation for slavery? How about this? How about I'll forgive y'all when y'all start teaching history the right way to your children? That's when I'll forgive you. That's all it takes of me. I told you, my price isn't money. You can keep them 40 acres and you can keep that raggedy ass mule. Just stop lying to your children, you know? Stop telling lies about us, you know?
They're paying you to get on stage.
Or I'm gonna keep telling the truth about y'all.
They're paying you to get on stage. We gotta let you go. Last question. I want you to look into this camera, because I know that there's someone on the couch watching this interview and hanging on your every word. The future of hip hop. Someone who's gonna follow in your footsteps. What would you say to that person about this business, about this game, and better yet, how would you inspire them?
Well, I would tell them that no matter what they are, whether they're white, black, Latino, Asian, any religion, creed, color, him or her, whatever your persuasion is, just remember that if you're not true to yourself, that eventually there are gonna be some cracks in that foundation. And whenever you do approach and meet a person, you obviously are sending when you project who you'd like to be. You know what I mean? Rather than who you are. But if you really work on being that person, you can eventually one day aspire to that. And I remind people, no one did this overnight. You know, I had help from all kinds of people within the industry, outside of the industry, people that have nothing to do with music that offer me really, really good advice. The people that you love, not trying to take advantage of you, you know, but rather really believing in you and thinking that it's possible. And also you need the right people to hate on your ass, you know, and to be like, nah, I don't think you can do it, because, you know, when you don't respect somebody's opinion, it makes you work harder against them. So I would like to tell them, and if they're inspired and hanging on to my words, remember that we're all one human race. And that at the end of the day, the only people that are afraid of the truth are people that have been lying to you.
Man, I appreciate you being here today, man.
Thank you, brother.
Getting ready to get on stage. You're live with Jason Park, and I appreciate you being a part of this program. Till next time.
A man who walks with God can walk anywhere. Hence, I fear nothing. The point point of guerrilla war is not to succeed. It's always been just to make the enemy bleed, depriving the soldiers of the peace of mind that they need. Bullets are hard to telegraph when they bob and they weave. The only way a guerrilla